Hello there, lovely people, it's Alex from Nintendo Life here, and I have just finished watching the Switch live presentation. Well, I say that it was a couple of hours ago. I've had to wait a little bit because I've got neighbours and other people living in this house, and I don't want to be recording with my great big booming voice this early in the morning. Anyway, let's get on to the main thing. So, initial reactions. Well, on the whole, I would say generally positive. I was really pleased with how they presented everything and what they had to show. I felt that it was a little bit lacking in games, but we'll get on to the finer details later. I've got some notes, so I'm going to take you through one by one. And first of all, we're going to start off with the hardware, the Switch itself. I was fairly pleased. It was about what I expected, to be honest. I was a little bit worried it would be less than I expected, but 720p screen, you know, it's touchscreen and everything, which if it wasn't touchscreen, honestly, they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. Battery life, I don't want to say I'm disappointed with it because it's between 2 to 6 hours depending on the game that you're playing, which isn't surprising, but I don't know, I don't want to say I'm disappointed because it depends when I actually get my hands on it, and I can just strap a USB battery to it if, you know, I'm not going to be walking around playing it, so having it, you know, having a battery isn't going to be too big of a deal for me at least, and, you know, just getting one of those great big bulky things that can do, you know, 21,000 milliamp or something. You're going to be playing that for quite some time. That'll do most of a holiday, probably. The Joy-Cons, wow. Okay, there is a lot of tech in those little Joy-Cons. It's basically, they're basically Wii remotes on steroids, and I think having the duality of being able to be, you know, physical controllers and also have those motion controls and everything is a really sensible idea, because it really is, you know, I mean, you sort of had it with the Wii remote on its side, but it was never really comfortable, and you could argue that it's going to be the same thing with the Switch when you're doing the Joy-Cons on their side, but they're not really designed, as far as I can tell, for like hardcore multiplayer. It's really just more for sort of kicking back with a couple of friends and enjoying a little bit of Mario Kart, which seems sensible to me, and I think that's fine. I'm going to be able to play these later on, so give them a go and see how they actually are and how comfortable they are. Maybe I'll do an entire video on how comfortable the Switch is. That could be fun. One thing I'm a little bit disappointed about is the fact that they didn't mention whether the triggers were analog. I assume they probably are, but we can't say for sure, so it'll just have to be a wait and see. But I'd be really quite disappointed if they weren't. But at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world, you know? Actually, you know, I'm going to move this light a little bit closer. I think it's a little bit gloomy. How's that? Better? Marvellous. Another thing they touched upon, well, they seemed to feature it quite prominently to begin with. They were going on and on about it and then sort of forgot to mention it in relation to any particular games, is the HD Rumble, and that looks interesting. I like the idea that it's in each individual Joy-Con. So, I mean, the Xbox One kind of has that in the triggers, doesn't it? But, you know, to have the Joy-Cons, and they sort of behave individually, so if you, I don't know, if you're in a racing game and you sort of accidentally scrape along the side of a wall or something, you could feel it in that side of the Joy-Con, so you scrape your left-hand side. I'm doing it for you. Okay, but do it on the right-hand side, just from my perspective. So you're scraping down, you scrape on the right-hand side, and your right Joy-Con goes and your right Joy-Con just sort of goes, your left Joy-Con just sort of goes brrr. I think that'd be really cool, but apart from that, you know, that's just one idea off the top of my head. It's the sort of thing where I could see it being implemented well, but at the same time, I can also see a lot of developers not bothering with it and just using standard Rumble. But who knows? It's down to the devs and see what they do with it. And yeah, it could be good, but it could also be really underwhelming. Having the gyro and everything as well in the Joy-Cons, that's such a relief, especially for things like Splatoon and stuff like that, which I will be getting onto. Splatoon 2. Oh, it looks good. Oh, by the way, if I don't seem that enthusiastic, it's just because I'm running on coffee fumes and nothing else at the moment. So it's just because I'm extremely tired. Briefly, I want to talk about the parental controls. I think it is really good. I don't have any children myself, and I'm not going to have anybody controlling my sessions, or at least I hope not. But I do think it's a really, really good investment that they've got there, and it being all controlled via an app, that is absolute genius. And also the app that comes with it, they only briefly touched upon it, but some sort of Switch app which includes your voice your voice chat and things like that. what a brilliant idea to have that tethered to it. I imagine, you know, it's kind of just because everybody's going to be doing that with Skype or anything, why not have a dedicated app for it? It's a stroke of subtle genius, and I think they're going to do really well out of that, and I think it's a very sensible move, and also stops notifications from being constantly appearing on your Switch. If you want, you can turn them off, I'm sure, and have them just appear on the app. Don't know that for sure, but judging by the Parental trailer, where they showed off the Parental app, you get things in this corner, I'm trying to think which corner it would be. It'd be this corner. You get notifications come up saying, you've got X amount of time left. And with the parental controls, it doesn't automatically shut down the system. It just says, you've got to stop now, so you don't have to constantly go into your child's room. And if they ignore it, it's recorded on the app and everything like that. It's genius. It's a really sensible app. And that just shows my age when I'm saying the Parental app. Oh yes, very sensible for keeping the younglings in control. Oh yes. Right, so let's move on to the games. Wowzers trousers, let me just double check my notes. Yes, we're going to start off with Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey, or is it Super Mario's Odyssey? I think it's just Super Mario Odyssey. It looked initially just like Sonic Adventure, to be honest with you. But it does look like it's really interesting. They've just gone mad, and they're just sort of saying, well, we can't think of one setting, so let's just go with all the settings, and I think that could be to its advantage. And the whole thing with the hat, I think, is a really nice little innovative idea. It's not going to set the world on fire, but the whole idea of throwing your hat, jumping and jumping off it again, I think that's really cool. And it's just a nice way of getting a new mechanic into the game, and I'm sure there'll be other, you know, mechanics using the hat. And I just think it's a really subtle, clever little way of introducing this new mechanic without introducing something entirely foreign into Mario. That is the environment, but Mario himself remains the same. The hat is just alive for some reason. We don't know why, but it looks kind of cool. It's got eyes and stuff that cover up the M, so you don't know who it is that you're playing as. The graphics as well look absolutely gorgeous, and the range of environments that we saw is really exciting. I think it's going to be a really, really good game. It's a shame it's not coming out until the end of the year, but, you know, I'm willing to wait for it. Now, on to Switch, the Wii Sports, if you like, of the game. I'm surprised this isn't a pack-in, to be honest with you. You have to buy it separately, which I've got a horrible feeling not an awful lot of people are gonna do. The Wii U generally came with Nintendo Life. Not Nintendo Life. The Wii U generally came with Nintendo Land. We did not come. You didn't get a Mii with your Wii U, unfortunately. But no, it generally came with Nintendo Land. I don't think mine did. I think mine came with New Super Mario Bros. U, but I bought mine, you know, a little bit later down the line because I was a student and money and stuff. But the big thing about this title is the fact that they're trying to push the fact that you don't need to look at the screen, and it's all about looking your opponent in the eye and, you know, sort of just basically taking the game outside of, you know, needing a visual reference, which is an interesting idea, but I'm not sure how well it will work in practice, to be honest with you. You know, it feels very, for lack of a better word, gimmicky, and I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be like a tech demo of all the things the Switch can do, and, you know, much like Nintendo Land, which could be really good, because Nintendo Land was good, really good party game, but I'm not sure about this one personally. I'll have to have a go at it and give you my addendum, if you like. I'll give you an updated version of this video or something along those lines, talking about my impressions after I've played it, because I think that's going to be quite important. Moving on to Zelda. Yes, I'm only going to talk about Zelda briefly because we've already seen so much of Breath of the Wild, but it's really nice to see the variety. It feels much more alive. All the trailers beforehand were so barren, within reason. They started to get a little bit more involved later on, but they really were, especially to begin with. Oh, so barren. You just Link in a field with a couple of bokoblins, you know, it really wasn't anything to write home about. But now we're starting to see a real story develop, and it looks like it's going to be a really good one. You can see Zelda. We've actually got the English trailer. The original presentation had the Japanese trailer. We got the English trailer. If you click that card up there, you can see that, and I really liked what they were showing. It just seemed like it was taking the idea of having a Zelda game, but all of the story and everything from Skyward Sword and the characterization, that looks like it's coming back, and that's a really good thing because previous games didn't really have it as much. And it's coming out for launch, so, you know, everyone's going to be happy, or they should be at least, because it looks fantastic. Moving on to Splatoon 2. I'm so pleased it's a sequel, because there were all these talks about it being a being like a remixed version or an updated port of the Wii U game, and I thought, no, let's get a clean break with the Switch, and I'm so glad they did. It really is a proper Splatoon 2. It looks like there are some serious updates or additions, you know, to the formula. The biggest one that they were showing off, sort of playing on the whole Joy-Con, you know, you hold them in your individual hands, was the I think they were called the Ink Dualies or something. The Ink Dualies. They look like fun. The dual pistols, basically, and they allow you to do dashes and things like that back and forth, and that looks like it's going to bring in some, you know, some different mechanics into the game, and that's really exciting because there is a lot of scope in Splatoon, and yeah, it just looks fantastic. And I seriously recommend. In fact, if you haven't seen the live presentation, do check it out. Click that card up there. You'll be able to watch it over on Nintendo's official channel, including all the lovely English stuff. I haven't actually seen the full English version myself, but hopefully it has marginally better translation at various points. Skyrim. Now, worryingly, they didn't say it was the special edition, so it is possible we've got the original Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 version of Skyrim on the Switch, which I'd be surprised at, to be honest, because honestly, you know, sort of Switch could run on the Wii U no problem at all. So maybe it is the remastered version. They just sort of glossed over that. Who knows? But maybe they're just calling it Skyrim because it's the only version on the Switch. Nintendo's a bit funny when it comes to stuff like that. But who knows? You know, it looks fine. It looks like Skyrim. I was really excited the first time I saw it, and then I remembered I've played Skyrim to death. So, you know, it'll be good. It'll be fun. It'll be nice to play it portably. But apart from that, it's Skyrim, you know, it's been done. Move on. Xenoblade Chronicles 2, known as Xenoblade 2 in Japan for some reason. I've no idea why. This, we didn't see much about it, and it looks like it's going with a different art direction, which is interesting. And it also looks like that it is going to be a direct follow-up to Xenoblade Chronicles, or at least it could be a prequel. And the reason I say that is because you can see the Bionis, or whatever it is. It might not actually be the Bionis, we don't know at this time, but whatever it is, it's still alive. So yeah, it could be a sequel. Maybe the Bionis, you know, is back to life, or maybe it's something else entirely, but it looks really promising. Anything with Xenoblade in the title is immediately going to start making me marginally moist, and yeah, it just looks really good. And nice that they've gone with an art direction that doesn't make the faces look completely weird. Arms. Yeah, Arms. It's an interesting looking title. It really is sort of going with the idea of the Joy-Cons being used individually and stuff like that. A lot like the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, but totally wirelessly, which is a good thing. But I'm a little bit skeptical about it, because they say, you know, it's very intense and it's very tactical and things like that. But I can't be sure how tactical motion controls can be, especially for a fighting game where really it comes down to split-second precision and decisions and button presses and things like that. And so I don't know whether you can be that responsive with motion controls, but who knows? I may get a chance to play it again today, so I say again, I haven't played it yet. I'm tired. Art style, though, really nice. I really like the way that it's presented and stuff like that. It's an interesting idea, and I hope it does well. And I hope it is good, because if it's not, that'd be a shame. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, this was something that they only very briefly sort of brushed on. They just showed a few images, but then they released a trailer afterwards, and you can see that by clicking that card up there if you want to see it. And wowzers, it looks like just what you'd expect. Mario Kart 8 on steroids. It's everything that was in the previous game, including all the DLC by the looks of it, and a load of extra stuff as well, including inklings and a new, what appears to be, you know, actual battle mode rather than something slapped in at the end with no, you know, little to no thought. So it looks like we've actually got real battle arenas, and also interestingly some new items. The boos have come back. There's the what do you call it? The feather, the cape feather, the super feather, if you like. I can't remember what it's actually called. And so that allows you to jump, and that actually looks like it might actually have some practical application. And we haven't seen that in a Mario Kart game since the very first Super Mario Kart. So that's a nice return. It's a nice little nod to the original. Overall, it's just looking like a really good version of Mario Kart 8. We don't quite know how the two, you know, you got like the two items in the corner thing. I assume maybe when you hold an item behind you, like a shell or something, that goes into the smaller slot, and you can still get another item. But who knows? We don't know. It could be that you can just literally have two items. Who knows? And lastly on the games list, something a little bit unusual. There was no information about it per se in the actual live presentation beyond a little clip of footage, but Fast Racing, or is it Fast RMX? I can't remember exactly what the title is, but Fast Racing Neo from the Wii U is coming to the Switch as well, and it's got loads of, sort of the DLC comes with it, and also I think there's some new stuff as well. I don't know, they're fairly light on the details, but the thing I want to talk about is the fact that it says it's 1080p 60 frames a second, which the original was 60 frames a second, but honestly it was something really quite low. It wasn't even 720p, I don't think. Or maybe it was, but it was, you could tell the res was low for the actual gameplay. So 1080p, if they can actually push that natively and they're not just upscaling, that gives you an idea of how powerful the Switch is, which is really encouraging and exciting. And I love Fast Racing Neo, so yeah, I'll have that. Also Redout by, I can't remember the name of the dev now, I'm going to look it up. Redout, made by Nicalis or Nisalis. That's another sort of F-Zero style futuristic floaty, racy, zoomy kind of game, and it looks pretty good. It also looks a little bit Episode 1 Pod Racer, which is no bad thing at all. There's something with like 2 engines at the front. It looks good. I'll be interested to see more of that. But yeah, overall, I'd say my initial impressions are really quite positive. I'm a little bit worried about the launch lineup because, as far as we know, there's only going to be a handful of games at launch. So, should we say cautiously optimistic? The launch could be a little bit better if we'd actually got a list of games for launch. That would be really good, but we haven't been able to find one of them at the time of recording. If we found one since I started recording, that's embarrassing, but we'll just roll with it. But the actual hardware and everything, and the lineup of games like Splatoon 2 especially, and Super Mario Odyssey, it's all looking extremely, extremely positive, and I'm so excited for what I'm going to be able to play later today. I know I keep saying that, I don't want to brag about it, but I just want to reiterate that this is before I've played anything, because there's going to be another video afterwards, so this is before I haven't played it yet. It's going to be good. But what are your thoughts on the presentation? If you haven't seen it, make sure you do check it out on Nintendo's official YouTube channel, and let us know what you think down there in the comments. Better yet, if you want to get one of your comments read out in a future video, most notably on Monday after this goes out, you can click that card up there where I asked you to put comments down below after the live presentation. A load of people left a load of comments beforehand anyway, so make sure you go there, leave a comment there, and you'll have a chance to get that comment read out in a future Alex Asks video. It's going to be exciting. Get excited. But thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you wake up far too early and record the earliest video you've ever recorded for that subscribe button. I don't know where I'm putting my hands. I need sleep. And be sure to check out nintendolife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. I can't even go to bed. I've got to go to London. And it's been snowing.